right. Hello. Namaste, everyone. It's been a couple weeks since I've been live. I was actually traveling last week with some friends who were visiting. Had a wonderful time, and that's actually what I want to talk about because this has been a conversation that's happened in some of my groups over the last couple of weeks with spring breaks happening for those of you who have families and just general spring travel, right? Like coming out of winter. Um, this is the time of year where we're traveling and vacations tend to happen. And if you have anxiety, if you're prone more to feeling stressed, um, and just, I mean, again, with just everything that's happening, just feeling a little more kind of just discombobulated with all the change that's an uncertainty. When we're traveling, on one hand, it's a wonderful opportunity, right, to break out of patterns, just do things a little differently, get in a different rhythm. Um, and with that, sometimes we let go of some of the routines that are actually helpful for us, right? It's like we almost throw everything out and then coming back, it's like, oh, having to get back into it, right? So just kind of want to throw out a few tips and some things that have helped me over the years. There was one thing that helped me in continuing my daily practice that I have in tuning into myself, which I think is important for all of us to have. That might look differently for depending on where we're at, but having times where we can just sit and be with ourselves is important. And if you have a practice like that, like continuing that when you travel and when you're out of routine, uh, can actually be even more important. And that's when it gets harder to practice it. So, years ago, my teacher encouraged us to have a minimum practice. And when I heard this, I was like, it's like, oh, permission to like change my practice up. Um, and really getting, thinking about no matter what's happening in life, what is the minimum thing I can do to tune in to myself. So thinking about that is a time to tune in. So even if you're just like, I'm going to make sure I at least, have 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to do that before I, go on with the day and engage in my vacationing. Or maybe it's something you do to wind down the day, something like that. And that gets you back to something familiar, because this is the thing with traveling as well. I know that I've noticed over the year in my nervous system is, even though I love, like I've always, enjoyed traveling, my nervous system it gets a little wound up, so to speak, when I get out of routine. And so having those moments of tuning in can really help to ground and center myself so that I actually can really fully enjoy my vacation. Um, and do it in a way that doesn't end up harming me, like having to recover from my vacation, right? So, taking time for yourself by finding that minimum practice, whatever that is, to tune into yourself. So that's the first thing I want to encourage you to do. The second thing is scheduling in downtime. It's so easy to get so excited because there's so many things to do and go go go. Um, and I think this also contributes to recovering from having to recover from your vacation. Actually taking times to like tap out and rest. Whether it's having a nap if you're not someone who normally naps, or just going and sitting and having, like a nice some tea or a nice you know fruit juice or something like that. Just relaxing. You're by the ocean. Just enjoy looking at the ocean, checking it, just being present in that way, whatever it is. Or if you're in nature somewhere, getting to just sit and just be. So scheduling that downtime in, and even if you're on like a trip that has more of a schedule, like take advantage some of that downtime, a lot of times that they have, even if it's moments, you know, like, oh, we're going to give you 15 minutes to wander around here and we'll meet up. Like, maybe you wander around, or maybe you're like, I'm just going to sit down for a moment, and just like not move. That can be helpful. And again, calming and grounding for the nervous system. And the last thing is really listening to your body and honoring it. Instead of feeling you have to push through and being like, well, I'm on vacation, like I should be able to do this, or I, you know, when in Rome, I gotta take advantage of this. We can end up taking that pushing, going energy that we have, a lot of us in our daily lives, into that travel time. Encourage you to try to do it differently, breaking up those patterns. And when you feel like your body like resisting getting tired, or like allow yourself to, again, I call it tapping out, and just doing what you need to take care of yourself as well. And these are 3 things I'd encourage you to keep doing in your daily life as well, but can really be helpful with when you go into vacation mode, travel mode, not to completely forget about yourself. Okay. And there might be, some of you might do a great job with vacations where they are for relaxing, and you relax a lot, which is good. Of course, I want to encourage, get you to discern like what that means, relaxing. Are you doing it in a way that's healthy and lifts you up, or is that also, does that end up draining you as well? Okay. And I think a really good measurement here is how exhausted you feel after your vacation time. If we're not rejuvenated and we're like, coming back home and just like flopping on the bed, being like, I can't move. There's fine to have some vacations like that, but if that keeps happening all the time, are you allowing your body that rest time? So, yeah, so these are just some tips, especially if you have a nervous system like mine that tends to be more of that kind of anxious, more like upward energy, finding ways to ground, because when we travel and we move, that's uprooting ourselves, right? So we need to keep doing the things in our travels that help us ground and come back to ourselves. Cool. So I'd love to hear what maybe you do. What are some things that you do that help you with that? Or what do you find yourself doing that isn't maybe as helpful that you've observed? So please feel free to share below in the comments. All right. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.